Schlocktober 2012's previous two movies covered the two King Kong films produced as part of Italian mega-producer Dino De Laurentiis' decade-long obsession with making a monster movie that was a bigger or at least equal smash to Steven Spielberg's Jaws. He wasn't the only person trying to do this, of course. There were a lot of crappy killer sea creature movies made in the late 70s for the same reason. And 1 year after the first of Dino's brand-name giant gorilla flicks debuted, he produced a straight-up Jaws imitator of his very own, ORCA the Killer Whale, which, in my opinion, is both the best of the many Jaws clones and also kind of a genuinely good, if completely bonkers movie in its own right, taking what could have been the setup for a rote, generic animal rampage movie and pumping it up into a kind of epic operatic tragedy, in which this happens.
I'm okay now!
Okay, so our story begins with and largely follows Richard Harris, no, really, Richard Harris is in this, and so is Charlotte Rampling, as a grizzled Irish fisherman named Nolan eking out a living in Newfoundland catching ocean animals for zoos and aquariums. As the film starts, he's supposed to be trapping a great white shark. Huh, you don't think they're really gonna...
Jesus, what did that?
Yup, ORCA has just made the argument that it's better than Jaws because our fish can beat up your fish.
There's only one creature in the world that could do that. A killer whale.
What's weird about ORCA is that it's a much more exploitation-style monster movie than Jaws was on a story level, but aesthetically it goes beyond looking and sounding serious to downright, well, highbrow. It features a lot of stunning nature footage of real orcas, and often set to one of the most haunting scores Ennio Morricone ever recorded. Seriously, a whole bunch of this movie looks and sounds like this. Anyway, Nolan decides that catching an orca would be the big score he's always been looking for, so he and his crew strike out to do just that. They catch what they think is a male, but it turns out to be a pregnant female, and things go very, very wrong for all involved. It's actually a really explicit, hard-to-watch scene, and I don't really think I can show you very much of it.
She's losing so much blood!
Yeah, that's about all I can show. Short version, the trauma of the capture causes the female to miscarry, and she and the calf both ultimately die. Her mate, still in the water, watches the whole thing and freaks right the hell out. You can see where this is going. ORCA is a revenge movie. It's The Punisher if The Punisher was an orca. This is also where the movie starts to go a little bit nuts.
We know very little about the nature of the whale's intelligence, except that it exists and is powerful.
See, the male orca has now sworn revenge on Nolan, and you'd think said revenge would be a bit limited since Nolan can just, avoid his comeuppance by simply staying out of the ocean.
It is known that these whales have great memory, and even after many numbers of years pass, they always remember the human being who had tried to harm them.
You'd think that, but you'd be underestimating ORCA, who leaves its mate's corpse in the harbor as a warning to its human target, and then sets about depleting the area's entire fish population, thus turning Nolan's neighbors and colleagues against him. Okay, smart plan, but you can kind of imagine an ORCA coming up with it. This ORCA, however, is so smart that he also has a working knowledge of human energy infrastructure vis-a-vis the town's coastal gas lines. Yup, the orca just blew up a building. This is a movie where that happens. Oh, and then orca knocks down another building and bites off Bo Derek's leg. This is the other thing I like about ORCA. It has some really dense moral ambiguity that you just don't see in most revenge movies, cetacean mammal related or otherwise. It's hard not to just hate Nolan for what happened to the female and root for ORCA to kick his ass, especially since it does such a good job of giving the surviving animal a personality. But it also lets us spend time with Nolan and understand why he's such a grim, miserable dude at this point. And it doesn't shy away from the fact that ORCA is straight up murdering people just to draw this one guy into a fight. Ultimately, Nolan mans up and allows ORCA to engage him in direct confrontation among the icebergs of the Straits of Belle Isle, where, you know what, I'm just gonna show it to you.
Here! Catch!
What in hell are you?
Yeah, The movie really did just do the two mortal enemies stare down eyeball to eyeball close-up thing, with a guy versus a whale. What else can I say? And so ends ORCA, if nothing else an effective curative for everyone who's ever watched Free Willy and wondered when that dude was just gonna take some f***ing initiative. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.